Hello again, YouTube land. Like and subscribe today.
Today we wanted to let you guys know about a change that we've made regarding what we're feeding our family and let you know the reasons why we've made that change.
Yeah, pretty drastic change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Blueberries and berries in general, but specifically blueberries. Yeah. We have stopped buying these from the supermarket, and there's a few reasons why.
Yeah, we did it a couple of months ago. The main reason was a lot of new reports came out here in Australia about the gap between what the farmers or the agricultural industry do and what the data was suggesting of what's safe in terms of consumption for
pesticides, levels of pesticides that are safe.
And because how often our kids eat berries, especially blueberries.
We would buy a lot of berries. Often you'll find at the supermarkets there might be 2 for $7 instead of just 1 for $5. So you end up buying more berries and feeding them to your kids, maybe a handful at a time. Now, the data for safe consumption of levels of pesticides in food was actually about 30 years old, and this has recently been brought to light by an Australian study. And yeah, the old consumption data was going back to 1995.
They've just reviewed it, or the Australian Pesticides and Veterinary Medicines Authority, or the APVMA, really rolls off the tongue. They've since released a report saying that they're looking at suspending the use of these insecticides, herbicides, pesticides, etc. Because the data was so old. They are looking at, so that's the latest, but the reporting is obviously quite damning and worrying at the same time, because the potential health impacts of these pesticides is quite
potentially harmful effects such as cancer and other health impacts from ingesting more pesticides than is safe. Now, back in 1995, people were consuming a lot less berries than they are today.
Obviously, the messaging around fruit intake for your kids is obviously very positive, and feed your kids fruit as much as possible, obviously within reason. A lot of kindies and schools encourage kids to have
bring a fruit snack
as their morning tea, and sort of discourage other sweet things that just have processed sugar. Important to note that for the most part, the industry keeps within safe levels. However, the issue is the safe levels is now disconnected with the frequency of consumption.
It's quite dated.
Yeah.
And in the new research coming out, they actually identified some pesticides that are actually banned in Australia were still being used. And that's also concerning because it sort of draws light to the fact that perhaps the industry is not as regulated as it should be, or we'd hope that it would be.
Yeah.
We wanted to come and present this to you guys in a way that's hopefully not judgmental, because everyone's just trying to do the best and buy healthy food for their family. So buying fruit and veg from the supermarket is perfectly fine. And there are ways that you can protect against ingesting those pesticides. One of those ways is to wash your fruit and veg very thoroughly. Mm-hmm. Some people like using bicarb soda or cider vinegar to help get all of the coating off of the fruit before serving it to your kids or eating it yourself.
Even from your own homegrown produce, you can soak your own fruit and veggies in a thing of water with apple cider vinegar for like 10 minutes prior to, as you're doing your prep for your food or whatever. That's another thing you can do. You just, got to take the precautions whenever you can. A lot of supermarkets will tell you, the guidelines are on our website to how to safely wash produce, but how many people actually read that or look at that or go looking for it, because they're just not aware of the potential risks, I guess, of eating.
There are options to buy organic produce, however, they're often quite costly. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at it in a way where we buy some of our food from local suppliers organically, and we're growing a lot of it now as well.
Yeah, it just takes time to get that going, especially to the scale of consumption that, we're a family of 5. And so getting our blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, etc., growing at a volume sufficient for 2 adults and soon to be 3 kids being able to eat on a regular basis. It takes quite a bit to get to that point. We've only been in the house 2 years, and so to try and scale up that production from nothing.
And those blueberry bushes are just getting up to a really nice scale where we're getting some more bunches of berries growing. A couple of those berries have become ripe in the last few days, and our kids have gone and eaten a few berries, but it's also managing the expectation where they might have been used to eating a little handful or a bowl of berries, and now they're just eating 1 or 2. But it's also the experience of being a bit more mindful when you're eating the food, and a bit more thankful and appreciative of what's gone into it and how it's grown, versus just mindlessly eating fruit and veg because we have an abundance from the store. So there are benefits to growing your own food in your backyard and teaching our kids that that's what goes into making the fruit and veg. And it's not as instant as, I feel like berries, let's have a bowl full of them. Yeah. There's a process that goes into it. They're not ripe all throughout the year. They're seasonal.
We have seen reporting from the AWG in America, what they consider the dirty dozen. Their top 2 in terms of the potential for risk for pesticide or insecticide content and residue is baby spinach and strawberries. So that America has their issues, the European Union have the issues. We haven't looked at Asia as a whole, but perhaps they have some issues too. And Africa as well have issues with their agriculture industry as well. The agricultural industry, feeds a lot of people, and without the farming industry or whatever, a lot of people would go starving. So this isn't a swipe at them. They feed the world, essentially. So without them, a lot of people would go hungry. So that's not a swipe at them. It's just more needs to be done on how to do it safely. Yeah, how to manage this best. Yeah, and that's to the individual as well, to the individual family, how you choose to manage this and manage the risk.
And if we're looking at permaculture versus monoculture, we know that with monoculture, it can be quite susceptible to insects and pests and things that are going to destroy crops. And so therefore we tend to correct that with the pesticides. But if we want to move towards a way that we can grow crops without relying on those pesticides, perhaps permaculture is a really good way to do that. And on a very micro scale, it's what we're trying to do here by growing a range of plants all together. We've got, for example, nasturtiums going crazy right through the garden, but they also provide that decoy plant for those pests to go for those rather than all of our crops that we're trying to grow.
Yeah, and we do also accept that some of our crop plants, whether it be our spinach, our lettuce, or anything like that, they're going to cop it to some degree, and so we sort of have to tolerate that minor loss for the most part. We've got a healthy bird population here, which help keep, I would say, a large amount of our insects down. But then we also want to attract the beneficial insects like the ladybugs and the hoverflies.
And the bees.
And the butterflies. And we're sort of just trying to work or keep in balance with our environment and in the ecosystem that exists here. We don't use any pesticides. The recommendation is to use a deterrent versus a kill. So a deterrent might be a coffee spray. And so a kill spray might be a soapy one or a chili one or a garlic one. And that can actually kill bees, ladybugs, hoverflies to the detriment to the ecosystem in your garden. So something to be mindful of. So we're sort of aiming to be more in harmony with our garden, our environment around the place. We don't use any synthetic or chemical herbicides, insecticides. No judgment on what you're doing out there, but please, we hope, let us know in the comment section what you're doing in your part of the world.
At the end of the day, I think everyone is just trying to do the best for their families and themselves, and trying to get their hands on good food that's going to nourish our bodies. So it's unfortunate that, some of these things carry those nasty chemicals.
Yeah. So let us know if you're aware of what the situation is in terms of your pesticide use in your country, how
Yeah.
you're potentially mitigating
Do
it or
you
managing it.
have any nifty ways to reduce pests without using pesticides?
Oh yeah, that too.
Or using something that's still good for the other plants and the other insects in your gardens? How are you going with that?
Thanks everyone, thanks for watching, and we
Goodbye,
appreciate
YouTube
everyone.
land.
Goodbye YouTube land.
Bye, goodbye, YouTube.
Thanks for
See you
everything.
next time.
See you next time. Alright, appreciate it. See ya. Continue. Which can stop snails or slugs coming onto your, crawling and eating your,
How you
crawling onto your plants and eating those. So a deterrent is better, whereas, alright buddy, they're right there. Jinx.